I'm Nicole Rose Murugi, and I'm delighted to be your moderator for today's conversation. Founder Spotlight is a space where we go beyond the titles, the businesses, and the success stories to have honest conversations with the people building and creating and connecting opportunities across Africa. And today we are having a conversation around something that is becoming increasingly important for Africa's next chapter: market access, trade, investment, and the power of meaningful connections. As you know, our theme today is unlocking Africa's next growth frontier, building bridges for trade, investment, and market access. And I'm particularly excited about today's guest because her work sits right at the intersection of these issues. So she is a Pan-African market access strategist, strategic connector, partnership builder, and trade and market entry advocate. She is the founder and CEO of Blooming Hub, founder of Blooming Ladies, and convener of the Gateway Africa series. Her work focuses on connecting entrepreneurs, institutions, diaspora networks, investors, and African markets. But importantly, moving those connections beyond introductions into meaningful pathways for market entry, partnerships, trade, and sustainable growth. Today we are going to unpack what that actually looks like on the ground. So Wunmi, you told me I got your name right, so I've been practicing, so I think it doesn't go without saying that my efforts count. But Wunmi, welcome to Founder Spotlight. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Indeed, I think that was a couple of months. I appreciate that. So well done, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an honor. So before we get into I want to know, who is Wunmi, beyond the titles and organizations. What experiences, values, or moments have shaped the person doing the work today?
Okay, thank you. I'm a daughter.
Yes.
I'm a wife, a mother. I'm a friend, a son. And I think the highest of it all is I'm the beloved of God. I'm the daughter of God on both sides. So I'm a woman of faith, and that has shaped my life. That's a value that has led me in all I've done. I'm a person that believes in purpose, for a purpose. And I'm a woman of faith, so complete thing. I love God. God loves me. That has been what has been the driving force in everything I do. It's my values. So the Bible is my worldview. So things that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I happen to live from Nigeria, and I've lived in Africa. I've lived in Europe. I've lived in North America, and now I'm living in Asia. So I have that also, to be part of my story. And I'm a people's person. That's who I am. I'm always a people's person. I love connecting with people. I love making introductions. So yeah, that's who I am. So I'm a Nigerian Canadian, currently based in the UK.
I love that because sometimes when we see someone operating at the intersection of business and we hear about your work, we read about it, and the partnerships and different markets that you work with or are involved in. We see the finished picture, but not the journey that produced it. So it's well put. Yeah. So you describe yourself as a Pan-African market access strategist and strategic connector, and working across Africa and Europe and the Middle East, and you mentioned North America. What was there a particular moment when you realized that connecting people, businesses, and markets was not simply something you were good at, but something you wanted to build your work around it? Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, like I said earlier time that my young view is really good. That's the basis what is what that directs me and everything like that. So from the onset, I love to connect people. I love to do those kind of just meeting people. And sometimes I just say, I've got different things. For example, the Blooming Pub did not start as being an Africa strategy or business concept service. We transitioned into that. Initially, we started, thank you, I think the noise is better now, it's clearer now. So initially, we started just as doing leadership coaching. But as time went on, actually it was just a few months back, I say that Africa was highlighted to me, Africa stood out to me, and I believe it was God highlighted Africa to me. And somehow I began to take notice of what was happening around me. For example, I travel back home, Nigeria, and I see that there's so many foreigners wanting to come into Nigeria, coming to Africa. I began to notice that the conversation for Africa was no longer just going to Africa for safari, going to Africa for nature, to go and see the elephants and the kangaroos and all those things. And the conversation was now being changed to see the business opportunity in Africa. And I'm hearing governments of different countries outside of the continent coming to Africa to sign agreements, which wasn't what was happening before. Before, Africa was seen as a place of charity. I know they still have those kind of mindset in some places, but the conversation is shifting. And so I began to see that there is something here that we need to pay attention to. People want to come into Africa, and there's still that fear of trust. There's still that fear of how do I go around it. There's still that fear of who can help me to walk through this process of entering a new country, looking for distributors, looking for partnership and suppliers and co. And so that's what made me jump into this gap and see how can we be the bridge, how can the Blooming Hub be the bridge that connects the businesses that want to come into Africa and set up an office or set up a manufacturing company. There are a lot of things that go into that. And so what we saw in the market is see how do we bridge the gap? I would call it, how do we bridge the gap? How can we become the bridge that help the people that want to come into Africa settle very well? Not just settle, not just come in, but then start a profitable business that is sustainable. Understand the system, understand what the compliance is, and more like handhold them through the process. Because when this happens, there are different organizations, different businesses that needs to be connected with. For example, if you want to register a company in a new country, there is going to, if it's the office of the registrar of companies, there's the taxation, there's understanding. If it's food, then there is, for example, if it's in Ghana, there's the FDA you have to work with. There's a lot of things that a foreigner might not understand. Or even just coming from one African country to another. So we want to be that person that handholds those people to help them, introduce them to distributors, introduce them to the tax people if they need one, to lawyers that help them to register their businesses and everything they need all the way. And we are there all through for them. We are holding them all through.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I think that distinction is important because Africa doesn't necessarily have a shortage of entrepreneurs or opportunities. Sometimes the missing piece, as you've mentioned, is knowing how to navigate the opportunity. Your profile makes a very interesting distinction. Your work is about moving businesses beyond introductions and towards meaningful pathways for market entry, partnership development, trade, and sustainable growth. What does that difference look like in practice?
Emails, we have conversation.
No.
But for us, it's more than that. It's also working with the two businesses that are being introduced. Entrepreneur A needs, what does entrepreneur B needs? And helping them find the common ground and helping them wants to come into Africa, or that needs to get shea butter from Ghana, and they know that different shea butters, they have different smell, they have different grade. So we coming in with them, we're not just going to say, okay, this distributor A and that is it. We want to understand what our clients in the Middle East want, what kind of shea butter they need. And then we are talking to the distributors, the shea butter businesses in Ghana, and understanding, okay, how the different shea butters, which one is best for our clients. And also thinking about payment. What is the payment plan? How is the payment, done? We want to understand. So we want to put those things in place and not just introduce and then go away, but beyond even the first introduction, beyond the first purchase, throughout the lifetime of that business, we are with them. So it's beyond just introducing and then we are going. No, we are with you throughout the lifetime of the relationship between the two businesses. We are there. So if it's a business that wants to set up in Africa the same way, we want to be with you till you hire your first staff, till you set up your office, even the paying salaries, because there are different laws in different countries concerning human resources, labor laws, and salaries and co. We want to work with you all through that journey. So it's beyond just making introductions for us. Thank you. And especially people that are outside the continent, they feel Africa is one market. Africa is one big place. So one misconception is believing that because I'm doing business in Lesotho or in South Africa, I can easily transition to Kenya with the same business, with the same product, without understanding the culture, right? Without understanding the customer behavior, without understanding the compliance things that needs to go on the country, without understanding the distribution, the logistics. There's a lot that goes on. I will say, even in Nigeria, for example, Lagos is different from Kano, Abuja, or Port Harcourt. They are still in the same country. I need to be willing to understand the consumer behavior in that market and not just believe that, oh, everybody is the same, and because we are all with one Africa, then because it worked in my home country, that same thing is going to work in other countries. I need to understand the consumer behavior, the culture there. I need to understand pricing. I need to understand how do they behave, as in, what are the mindset here.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
You also have to understand the market you're entering, as you put it, and the people. Yeah. So let's dive into what entrepreneurs get wrong. If an entrepreneur from Kenya tells you, I have a great product and I want to expand it into Nigeria, Ghana, or Rwanda, or another African market, what are the first 3 things you would tell that entrepreneur to understand before spending money on expansion?
Okay, thank you. I think the first thing is market assessment. And it's an easy way to do this, actually. You also want to check, okay, what are the tax implications? What are the imports? What are the import duties? How do I receive payment? We all know, yes, a lot of work is being done with AFTA, that's the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, to reduce all this burden and these hurdles that we face in Africa with intra-African trade. Yeah, but then while we are still working on that, there's still import duties, there's still payment systems. How do I receive payment? How do you receive payment? For example, you want to make sure that you understand that you're not just sending products and then your product is taking forever. You're spending much more than the cost or even the selling price of your product to get your goods to your consumers. So you want to be sure, you want to make sure that you make that right. Also, regulatory requirements. You want to make sure that the product is allowed, because it's not all product that every product that we're allowed to come into the country you want to send it to. So all those little things, I'll call it little things, but it's very important. So it's part of your market assessment that you're doing. And then you want, even when you get all those things right, you want to do a pilot rather than making a large investment and sending something big. Just a pilot starts with something small. You want to send that. And then if you are looking at really, say you want to have a physical, let's say you want to have a physical space, then that's also another ball game. You need to be there. You need to do your market research. You need to understand the consumer. I think I've said it before. I don't want to just keep repeating that. You want to go there and also find out who are your competitors in that country. Who are the people doing what you want to do, so that you don't go there and then you are because it's very expensive actually to go into a new market. So you want to make sure you've done your homework. You've gone there yourself. You've gone to see your main competitors. What are they doing? How are they doing it? What can you do different? And then even understand how the people in that country work, because we all have different work patterns. Though we're all African, right? Thank you. That a lot of people are interested in Africa. Even a lot of diasporans. So that's Africans living outside of their country. They are interested in investing back in Africa. But it's always a hurdle to just say, oh, I want to go and do this, or I want to move back home, finally. So what our 6 days, 7 days, 8 days, 9 days immersion does is that we are not just in a room talking. We are going into the market. The one we are doing in Nigeria next month, we are visiting about 12 companies, 12 organizations. We are sitting down with the founders. We are going to their factories. We are seeing behind the scene how business is being carried out. And not only that, they're going to share with us. The last one we had in Ghana, one of the feedback we got that the immersion aspect of it, the visiting businesses was the highlight for a lot of our participants, and that's one reason why I want to do that again. This is like a life MBA for you. It's not something that you can just listen to in a conference room that you get. So imagine that you have access to an agri business, an agro processing food business, furniture making business, what they call it, fashion business, technology business, and it's not just me talking to you one-on-one. You are in the space, you're seeing their employees, you're seeing how this is being done. So this is like years of experience collapsed for you into 6 days.
I believe diaspora businesses and networks with African markets. Do you think Africa is fully taking advantage of the economic power of its diaspora?
No. If I get what you want, are we really taking full advantage? No, I would say no. Because many times we talk about remittances, which is huge, right? I can't now recall the percentage of the amounts, billions of dollars that the diaspora sent back home, right, to all of Africa. It's huge. It's laudable. It's something that we should continue to do. But beyond that, the diaspora has knowledge that we brought from Africa, taken to where we are, and the knowledge we are getting from where we are, the experiences. So there's a knowledge bank in the diaspora. There's the professional expertise, there's the technology, there's the capital, there's the international networks, there's the global access to global market.
Yeah.
There's so many things that the diaspora actually offers to Africa. And I'm actually very glad because I can see that the conversation is changing a lot. We're seeing a lot of countries open up and doing many more things with the diaspora. I know that Canada does quite a lot with Nigeria, and actually has offices like Office of the Diaspora. It's something that is huge right now in Nigeria. Nearly every state in Nigeria has that. So the opportunity, we need to move beyond just say send money home and come and invest, and to see what are the partnerships we can forge, what are the credible pathways that we can use to make our diaspora participate locally back home. How can we, the mentorship, even knowledge sharing, how can we give back home? Could we mentor the younger ones? Could we help in the universities? Could we help with education? Local business partnership, could you be on board and offer your expertise? Could you create access from where you are to, connect businesses from where you are back home? Can we actually have a diaspora-led trade or investment that is being used back home? There are lots of things that we can talk about. I know there's so much value there, and we African, no matter where we go to, and that route is there. But beyond the emotional, we need to do our proper diligence. We need to look at market preparation, and the government needs to be part of this and see how realistically we can partner with the diaspora to make Africa great.
Yeah. That's interesting. African growth. The conversation often focuses on governments, as you've mentioned, large corporations or foreign, foreign investors. But there's another group with knowledge, as you've put it. So let's talk about investment. What do you think investors need to understand better about African markets? And what do African businesses need to understand better about investors?
African, there's a lot going on for African. Yes, there's a lot of opportunity in Africa, but the truth is that there's still a lot that is going on. There's still the gap with infrastructure. There's still the currency volatility. There's still informal distribution systems. Informal market or economy is huge in Africa. There's still a lot of changing regulations. So when an investor is looking at an Africa, let's say wants to invest in a business in Africa, you need to understand that those issues are still there. And yes, the person still have this great idea. They're still building capacity. They're doing a lot. Those issues still going to affect them. And that doesn't mean that the business is weak. So I think that knowledge needs to be there. So the investors need to be patient. Yes, do your due diligence, of course, but still realize that there's still a lot that needs to come into that. So on the part of the business, then you need to do a lot with being transparent, being professional, putting structures in place so that your investment ready, your accountings are in place, and you want to start with people that can give you capital, that are patient capital. The one I know, speaking with an investor sometime, and it's an investor, she was talking about what they call love money. More like a patient borrower that can say, okay, 5 years before we start asking for anything back. So you want to put that into when you're looking, when you're asking for capital. You're putting, remembering risk, yeah.
Talked about connections. We have talked about partnerships and market access, but I want to take this conversation a little deeper. African trade to move from potential to reality.
But sorry. Yeah, I think I can say that Africa is going in the right direction. And so grateful for Africa. That's the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. That's a very good framework, but we're still. Yeah, let me just leave that first. But policy is not enough. We need to translate this into practical experiences for entrepreneurs. One thing, remember when I was talking about you entering a new market in Africa, even if it's the same, you are coming from another African country, they're looking at payment. We need to talk about easy movement of goods, easy movement of people, easy movement of payment, and information across borders. There are some countries that I want to go to in Africa that it is cheaper for me to go to North America than to just go across Africa, because maybe there are not direct flights there. And even to move goods, I had people complain bitterly of how much it actually costs them to move, and sometimes you just look at it and get, I don't want to go through this stress and lose money, and then that affects businesses across the country. So there's movement of goods, there's people, there's payments, there's even lack of easy information. You want to get information about one country and you have to research, you have to call this person.
Yeah.
That is not it's not made available easily. So we need to have a process that market intelligence is made easy, accessible for everyone across Africa. A business in Ghana that wants to go to Uganda, for example, should be easy to have it easy to know what's the regulations, what is the government agency that should be speaking to, who are my potential buyers. Those kind of intelligence should be made easily accessible. Digital payment, I know a lot is going on well. I will have to say in the past few years, we've done much more. The progress has been much, talking about even across Africa payment gateways, but there's still much to be done. There's still much to be done to make it easier to pay. Why do we still have to convert to dollars before? So for example, I want to do a business from Nigeria to use another country, South Africa. For many times, most people still have to transfer to dollars first, even if you're not the one doing it. But the currency conversion, all those things, those things still stand as stumbling block. But after it's doing a good job, or just that we need to now go beyond policies and translate that into practical experiences for SMEs. But it's not worked on, it's not being implemented. We have agreements, we have institutions. I've spoken about AFTA, there's ECOWAS, there's different ones for different regions, but entrepreneurs still face challenges, right? And when I talk about entrepreneurs, I'm talking about the MSMEs. For Africa, around 90 to 95% of businesses across Africa are MSMEs, right?
Yeah.
They're the backbone of the economy. 80% of employment in Africa are actually from these MSMEs, and you wouldn't believe that nearly between 40 and 50% of the continent's GDP comes from MSMEs. So what we're saying is that the MSMEs are like the backbone of the economy. We need to focus on them. There's no way we're saying that we want to confront the issues facing into African trade, and then we don't design systems and realities that will make it possible for MSMEs to grow. That we need to put in place policies, and not just policies, put in place practical things that people, women, and men, most times as women that are in this place, especially the micro parts of it, that they can easily understand. Number one, they can afford the time, the cost of compliance, and it's easy for them to work with. Not systems that they don't understand, not systems that they can't understand, they can't afford, or one they don't have time for. So we need to create a system that this MSMEs can trust, they can afford, they understand, they can, and they have the time to implement it. So the real test for me is the trade integration all over Africa, the 54 countries. It's not just the number of agreements signed. I think we've signed enough agreements. We need to get to work and make things, profitable for us all. Yeah.
Yeah, we need, 54 countries, wow. Yeah, it's time to start working. But let's bring this down to the individual entrepreneur. Who wants to expand across Africa but doesn't know where to start? What would you tell them?
Okay, thank you very much. I understand what you said, that if I have 60 seconds with an entrepreneur that wants to come into Africa, or maybe already in Africa but wants to go to a new market but doesn't know where to start, I will say, number one, research the countries, look at what you have to offer, look at your products, look at your services. Where is the best place that your products or your services will be needed? You want to do that because you don't want to go to a country where what you want to offer is in excess, or they produce it cheaper than what you produce, what the cost it is for you, because some places maybe they have this naturally, and so you bringing yours, it will not be. So you want to research, you want to do your research, you want to do your homework, and you want to see what are the ways you can take your products. There are different ways. You can choose to export. If you're doing products, you can choose to export. If you're doing services and co, do you want to partner? Do you want to do licensing? Do you want to franchise? Do you want to do an online? Do you want to sell online? And just if you're selling online, what you just need is to find how do I deliver to those countries. So there are different ways. You don't really need to, at least for the first time, and start up a business, except it depends on your capital base, your financial base, what you have, what is your vision, your own personal vision. And so if your personal vision is, okay, I want to have a physical location in all those countries, then yes, go ahead. But number one, market research. You cannot afford not to do market research when you enter a new country. You want to understand the customer's behavior, the customer beliefs, you want to understand pricing, you want to understand the culture and all those things. So yes, decide how you want to enter the market. There are different ways to enter the market. Understand your own products, and where in Africa, other countries will be the best place for your products and your service. Thank you.
You are the founder of Blooming Ladies, a community focused on empowering women in business and leadership. So I want to ask, what barriers do you see women entrepreneurs facing when it comes to accessing markets, partnerships, investment, and the strategic networks?
Done so much with Blooming Ladies, but that is changing very soon. We're going to be very active again, by God's grace. But having said that, I know that this might sound like, we've heard it so much, a lot of women are still doing. But women will still have that primary as carers. So even when you need to go out and do things, you're thinking about, okay, I can't go this far, I can't leave home for this long because I need to take care of this, I need to take care of that. So that is still there. And let's go back to Africa now. I've spoken about the fact that Africa, 90% of the business are MSMEs. So that means that we could have a lot of people in the informal market, in the informal business, maybe not as educated, they don't have exposure to take them to the rooms that the conversations of even investment and getting money is being discussed. So we still have that issue. So there's still the cultural barriers. And I know that things are changing fast and quickly, but women, we see a lot of first women doing a lot of things, and I'm grateful for that. And I know that there's still much to be done for Capture. So I would say, don't do life alone. Have a community, a support system where you can learn, where you can grow. Because I don't believe that we should walk alone. There's always someone you can learn from. So check online. There are a lot of women communities, and the government are doing so many things also. So check online, see where you can plug yourself, where you can learn. Opportunities abound, but if you don't put yourself out there, you would not see them. So yes, don't be afraid of being outside of your comfort zone. Yeah, check for communities you can belong to, what you can learn, how you can improve yourself, and then build your support system. Yeah.
To continue working, great and all that. So I want to dive into the personal and reflective moment, if you can allow me. All right, yeah. Because we have spent a lot of time talking about markets and business, but behind every organization is a person, yeah. And let's talk about the difficult moments. Building platforms that bring different people and organizations can be challenging. And what has been one of the most difficult moments in your journey, and what did it teach you?
Okay. I think, but it's easy to, let's say easy. Sometimes it's easier to walk alone, sometimes, right? Because you know that I planned for this to go this way and it's going to go just go the way you want it. But by the time you have to bring people on board, you have to speak to this organization, speak to this, you're waiting for A, waiting for B, B doesn't come back when they said they would. All those things can actually make you feel, wow, is this worth it? So I think one of the greatest challenges is, I would say my biggest challenge has also been my biggest blessing, in the sense that connecting with people, with the right people. You can so the same thing as is the blessing and also the challenges that I've seen. Trying to putting together a program, and you need all the stakeholders to be involved. And sometimes I think nothing is working, or somebody is dropping the ball here and there. I think that's the greatest challenge. And I'm wondering that, this is my name, or this is my name at stake here. This is my brand at stake. But I think I've learned that nothing, how will I put it now? That no matter what happens, there's always a way out. That everything is you will figure it out, no matter how bad it is. And at the end, when I look back, like, okay, I've learned this, but it's not that bad. So I'll say my greatest challenge has also been my greatest blessing, and that is actually people, working with people and having to work with different stakeholders for what we do, because we are mainly the connectors, right? I love to do the connection work we do. Business concierge and with the Wunmi Hub, Gateway Africa. Yeah.
Let's talk about success now. Today when you look at the Blooming Hub and Blooming Ladies that is getting there, and the Gateway Africa series, what does success actually mean to you? Is it revenue? Is it the number of businesses connected? As you've mentioned, so many connections. Is it successful market entry, or is there a deeper measure of impact that matters to you? Aside from God being above all. Yeah.
Thank you. I think as you said, it for me. So, like you said, the above all is God.
Yeah.
Place the Blooming Ladies under Blooming Hub, Gateway Africa is under Blooming Hub. So we just have one thing, and we don't have different things everywhere. For me, is making sure that we're creating assets. Because I want to be that bridge. What does that mean? That we build access and trusted pathways for businesses entering Africa. That is easier than it used to be for them before. And that women actually are able to grow their business cross borders. They're being influential in the place they are in. We want, for Gateway series, we want to build that ecosystem where we have the diaspora businesses, the government institutions, investors. Partner with local businesses back in the country, the country that different countries that we want to work with. And that way, it's also a thing of trust. The businesses outside, they will trust us, and then we can now connect them, and not just connect. I think I'm not just conversation, just connect them, and that's what the Blooming Hub decided to do.
Yeah.
I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did.
To build Africa. The gateway, we want to create that bridge for Africa. Yeah, so for me, impact is in the bridges we are able to build from diaspora to Africa, and opportunities and meaningful connections. So yes, of course, success money will come from there too. But it's the lives that we're able to impact, the changes, because for every business that's succeeding, they are impacting families, individuals, and communities in the long run.
Points our audience can take away from it. It's time for our live question and A. And here, from Tito.
Okay, thank you. Okay, sorry, I think I've not. Okay, thank you very much. How do you know when it was time to pivot in your career? You will know when there's an unease that you feel. You just feel that this place is too small for me. And sometimes, okay, you've done what you can. You just feel that I'm too big for this place, and it's not a place of pride. The place understanding that there's more I can do, there's more to me than where I am. You feel that you're operating below your capacity, your capability, your potential. And when you start to feel that way, you start looking outside. So like literally looking for all that things you can do. You start saying yourself that, for me, actually realizing that I feel I'm underutilizing myself. I feel there's more. I feel I'm playing below what I should be doing. And then when you are there, it's time for you to sit down and have a conversation with yourself. That's when you want to talk to a coach. You want to speak to a mentor. You want to start asking yourself, what else can I do? What do I have that I've not used enough of? So I think that's, for me, that's what happened, and that's where I begin to ask myself, this place is not, no, you are too big for this place, and you need to pivot. And that pivoting could be that you go for extra, you want to add more education to what you have already, you want to change your business, you want to change your career, you want to ask for promotion. Let me try
it's saying, how have you been to manage your purpose, marriage, and work-life balance? What sort of advice will you give the younger generation?
Okay, balance sounds like 1 + 1 = 2. But in reality, it's not the scale. Balance looks like, that scale where you can see my 2 hands and everything is the same. Alone, if you want to go far, go with others. What does that mean? That it takes a village. It takes a village. Your family, so if you're married, your husband, if you have help around, they are pitching in. You're not the be all and person that does everything. You are asking for help. You're not keeping your mouth still as if I'm a macho woman, I can do everything myself. No, you ask for help. You ask for help. Never be afraid to ask for help. Never feel that it makes you look small. No, you ask for help. You ask for help. And let people around you understand what you're doing.
But I think the time is up. This conversation is that Africa's growth is not only about having opportunities. It's about knowing how to access those opportunities, and that is exactly what your work represents: connecting people, building partnerships, and operating markets. entrepreneur, founder, investor, or business leader, just like Wunmi. Thank you. Thank you so much once again for your time and your insights and the work you're doing to build stronger connections across African markets. And to our audience, remember the next growth opportunity may not be somewhere far away. So yeah, so how can they find you, Wunmi? Where can they find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Wunmi Akinlosotu on LinkedIn. Let me see if I can get my LinkedIn posted. Let me see, do I have it? Okay. Let me see. Also, please, could you post my LinkedIn system, please? Thank you. Thank you very much. God bless you. So, Lady Wunmi Akinlosotu, yes, that's my LinkedIn. It's there in the link. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And people can communicate to you openly, there. And to our audience, just take time to get that link. So I'm going to give you 1 minute, 2 minutes, but the link will be available on the description box, on YouTube. And I'm Nicole Rose Murugi, and this has been Founder Spotlight by The Bold East Africa. Until next time, keep building, keep connecting, and keep creating opportunities. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank
you, Bold East Africa, for having me. Take up next slide.
Bye.